Hi and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a Hyundai Accent. We're going to be changing the front end struts. We are not going to change just the strut. We're going to change the entire assembly. It's called a quick strut. It's the strut, the bearing plate, and the spring as a complete assembly. So let me show you what it looks like, and then we're going to go up there. I'm going to show you what tools you're going to need, and we'll get the job done. So this is what's called a quick strut. It comes with the new strut itself, it comes with a new spring, and it comes with a new bearing plate on top, as well as the bellows inside over here too. So on this car here, that's the way to go because it's very high mileage on a car, and it's an older vehicle. It doesn't pay to change anything else because most of the time the bearing plates on these cars wind up going bad also. So, all right, let me bring you up there. I'm going to show you what tools we're going to need, and then we're going to get started. Okay, and here we have an example of what kind of tools you're going to be needing to actually complete this job. You're going to need a pry bar, an air gun. If you don't have an air gun, you're going to need probably some 1/2-inch drive sockets with a very long breaker bar or a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. You're going to need a screwdriver as well as a normal 3/8 ratchet. Like I said, some 17mm sockets. You're going to need a set of sockets to take the other bolts off. One is a 10mm, and I think the top is around 11 or a 12mm, something like that. 17mm to hold the one side of the bolt as you air gun off the other, and some tools to actually knock the bolts out, and of course our trusty hammer. So, all right, and this is actually new nuts for the top of the strut. You never put the old bolts in the new strut to hold it in place. All right, so first thing we're going to do is you're going to come in over here and you're going to see that, let's get some light over here maybe. Okay, this is the bolts right here that we're going to be taking off. These are the bolts that hold the strut in place. We're going to air gun out these two bolts right here. And when I hit this with the air gun, we're going to hold the nut around on this side here so that the whole thing doesn't spin. Then we're going to come over here and we're going to loosen up this. This looks like probably a 12mm bolt here that holds the brake line out of the way. So we're going to take that out also. And then up on top, right up over here, you're going to see the bolts here, there, and there. There's 3 of them that actually hold the strut to the top of the vehicle. We're going to loosen them up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to loosen up all 3 of them. We're going to take 2 of them totally out, and we're going to leave 1 partially caught on. So let me do that, and let me grab the air gun, and we're going to continue. Okay, we're going to air gun those bolts out right there. Now, actually, you know what? I'm going to show you. If you don't have an air gun, you can do it with a normal ratchet. You just loosen them up, they come right off. Now obviously if you have an air gun, you can use the air gun. What I always do is take the bolts, take 2 of the nuts out, Okay, then what I normally do is the 3rd one. The 3rd one, you don't take it off all the way. You leave it partially connected, and then we'll go back down the bottom and continue on the bottom. Okay, I hope you can see okay in here. Now we're going to take this bolt out right here, the one that holds the brake line to the caliper. And like I said, if you have air, you can shoot it out with air. If not, you can take it out by hand. We can relocate that to the side right now. And now In this case, I am going to do it with an air gun because it is a little bit difficult doing it by hand, especially when they're so rusty like this. So what you do is you just come in here with your air gun, put it onto the bolt, hold the other side with the 17mm wrench, and air gun it out. Don't lose that nut and bolt. The nut and the lock washer. You're going to need to reuse it. Same thing on the top up here. Just hold it. Now, all right. Now, as you can see, these came right out. They slide back and forth easy. If they don't, you can get in there with a punch like this, and you put it on the nut. Keep the nut on the bolt like this. You put this on here like this, and you just tap it, and you can knock it out. All right, and that'll pop it right out of there without damaging the threads on the bolt that you have to reuse later. All right, so take these nuts off. We are going to be reusing them, so don't lose it. These come right out. And if it doesn't come out, you can either tap it out with that wrench, or you can just rock it back and forth with the 17mm, and you can pull the bolt right out. Now, when you take this out, you want to be careful in here. See this here? This is your axle. You don't want to pull the axle out of the transmission, or you don't want to separate the tripod. What you do is you get in here with the screwdriver up on top here, and you just pry on it very, very lightly and push back on the strut so that you don't damage the tripod. All right, you just keep working it back and forth. And you see how it pops out? Keep this pushed in. Keep the rotor as well as the knuckle pushed in as far as you can. We're going to take our strut around this side of it. Like that. Okay. And now we're going to hold the strut up and take that bolt off on top that we previously loosened up. And then you just pull the entire assembly right out of the car. All right, let me get the replacement and we'll put it back in. As you can see, this is in pretty poor condition. All right, now, there's only one way that these bolts will fit through the body of the car. So you'll have to get up and you'll have to play around with it till you get it through. So let me get this up there. And remember what I said. We're not going to use the old ones. You're going to use only the new ones to put it back together, because these bolts are actually self-locking. You see they have the self-locking piece up on the top? Very important. You don't want to reuse the old ones. All right, so let's go up top and let's catch it up top. And now we'll take our new strut. Just watch you don't knock that axle out. We'll put it back up through the top. I'll show you what I did. See? You just caught it up in the top, right up in here. And we just caught it with the 3 bolts. We're not tightening anything up. We're just leaving it loose. And now we'll continue from down the bottom. Now, remember, we want to get this cable that it breaks to the other side of the strut like this. And now we're going to push the strut back in and put your bolts in. Always put the bolts back in the direction that you took them out. If the nut was up in the front, make sure you put it up in the front. All right, and we'll just rock it back and forth. Sometimes they stick and they have to be tapped in a little bit. Same thing on the bottom. And we'll just tap it in. Now we're going to reinstall the nuts that we previously took off. Remember, we took off those 17 millimeters. We're going to catch both the 17 millimeters on here. Catch the next 17 millimeter right there. And now you can get in here with your air gun and tighten them up. There is torque specs for this. I will look it up and come back to this later. We're just going to tighten it down for now. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, like I said, we will come back and we will hit that with a torque wrench. It's not imperative. You can actually just tighten it in by hand, pretty much as tight as you can. I always put never seize on any of the bolts that I put back in that are actually rusted. And we'll tighten this down. This you don't want to use an air gun on because you don't want to snap it off. So just turn it in with a ratchet, turn it in with a wrench, whatever works for you. Okay. All right, now we're going to go up top. And we're going to tighten up the bolts up top. Okay, now if you have an air gun and you want to shoot these on with an air gun, you can do it. Be careful you don't snap them off. I always do these by hand because I don't like using an air gun on these bolts. Okay, once you have all three down, then you can snug them in. Make sure that they're tight. Okay, and that's it. All right, so let's recap what we did. We made sure that the three bolts up on the top here are all tight. Then we actually came down on the bottom right over here, and we made sure that the two bolts that go through here, the 17 millimeter, are nice and tight. We put in our 12 millimeter back through here. That's tight, and that's it. We're all done. Next thing we're going to do is to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, that's it. You're all done. Did struts, and we also did springs, the complete assembly. So now we have to get the wheel alignment checked just to make sure the alignment is within specs so we don't wear out the tires. And that's it. We're all done. All right, job is finished, and you should know this is a significant difference in the way you drive the vehicle. And instead of hitting bumps and having your teeth rattle around in your head, it should be pretty good now. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.